under the building and pest clause. The REIQ contract of sale allows you to terminate the contract if you're not satisfied with the results of your building and pest inspection. So the building and pest inspectors gone around with their iPad, taking photographs, taking notes. You've followed them. You're listening. He'll point out some things to you. He may well say to you, do you know what? That's really bad. I'm not happy with that. That's a red flag. In which case you're like, ooh, pay more attention. And so she'll put together their report and send it to you, and you'll read that report. And on that report, they will have, in the previous module where we talked about physical due diligence, we had sample reports there. And you can see that they'll flag something as quite concerning. If it's just typical wear and tear age of that building, then that's to be expected. You knew what you were buying when you walked into the building. You could see it was 50, 60, 100 years old. The trouble is, if it's not where you can visibly see, it's things that structural issues, water or moisture issues, termite infestations, those are the red flags that we might make you want to pull out of your contracts because the building and pest inspection identified something. And now, how do you do that? So under the standard REIQ contract, you have until 5 p.m. on the building and pest date that's in the contract to let the seller know that you're not satisfied or that you are satisfied with the building and pest report. If you are satisfied, you just let it go, it's fine. But if you're not satisfied with the report and you want to cancel the contract, you must provide a copy of that report to the seller. Buyers must also be acting reasonably in cancelling the contract. Things like the severity of the issues raised in the report, the property's age, and whether the issues were obvious or disclosed to you before you signed the contract will be relevant to whether you are acting reasonably. If you have concerns about the property after receiving your building and pest report, you should discuss them with the building and pest inspector in the first instance. And in fact, if you attend the inspection, like I said, there shouldn't be any surprises for you. You're following them around and they're pointing and talking to you about everything that they see anyway. It may be possible to negotiate with the purchase price or for work to be done before settlement during that settlement period. However, it's important to note that the sellers are not obliged to agree and may refuse to negotiate. So ask your conveyancer to take care of those negotiations for you. For example, it might be something that it was not obvious to you. It might be moisture in the wall, or that maybe the bathroom wasn't shower-proofed. Maybe the bathroom wasn't waterproofed properly and there's moisture in the wall. This was absolutely and undeniably not obvious to you. So this is a concern that could cost several thousands of dollars and may therefore influence whether or not you want to buy this home. In which case, the seller may then go, oh, okay, well, they're not going to buy it because of the building and pest inspection. If you put yourself into the seller's position, now they've got somebody who's had a fairly poor building and pest inspection report. So if another buyer comes along and says to the agent, so have there been any flags raised at previous building and pest inspections? The sales agent's obligated to point that out to them. So that's one reason why the seller would be keen on still keeping you as a buyer for their home. Secondly, if we're just talking about drop by $5,000 to waylay all of that and them having to find a new buyer, it's something that you can negotiate as long as it's reasonable. You can also cancel under the finance clause. In Queensland, written notice must be given to the seller before 5 p.m. on the finance date that's stated in the contract. If you can't obtain finance by the deadline, you can instruct your conveyancer to terminate the contract. If you don't advise the seller as to whether you have finance approval by this deadline, the contract will continue. You must take all reasonable steps to obtain finance approval by the finance date. This includes making a loan application immediately after signing the contract. Failure to do so may not give the buyer grounds to terminate the contract. You can get extensions though. So this is where that relationship with your conveyancer and asking questions, clear communications, helpful attitude from your conveyancer, this is where they really shine. They're your best friend, and rely on them to serve and protect you from dangerous problems with contracts and finance.